crimson blood, no hesitation. Breaking news, recruiting buzz. If it's Bama, yeah, it's us. When the whistle blows, somebody ain't right. Flags are flying, man, they way offsides. Hot takes hitting like a goal line stand. Championship talk is the master plan. Cotton bringing fire, Jeff bringing facts. From Saturday nights to unhinged BAMs. Depth charts moving, portals spin. If it matters in Bama, we're dialed in. So lace them up, let the debate begin. No neutral zones, we cross the line to win. Crimson Tide talk, no place to hide. You're tuned in to Waaaay, yeah, offside. Let's go. Offside. Let's go. Offside. Let's go.
Happy Thursday evening. We got a slow crowd tonight, man. Is something going on?
It's all right.
Everybody at the carnival? What's going on? Well, everybody's missing a treat. If you're not joining us live, you're watching this after the fact. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Waaaay Offsides, your last stop for all things Alabama, the last college football YouTube channel you'll ever need, maybe. And I say maybe because we have a special guest tonight.
We do.
Yeah, Mr. Landon Tengwall. If you guys aren't watching this guy on social media, you absolutely need to be.
Follow him now.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll give you like 5 seconds. Go ahead. Just come right back when you're done. All right.
Done.
All right. Without further ado, let's bring him in, Jeff.
All right.
Landon, thank you for joining us tonight, man. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm excited. I've really enjoyed talking some Alabama football recently, so appreciate you guys giving me a little platform to be able to talk about it.
Well,
you're in the right spot.
You do a great job talking about it. So,
fantastic,
you, man.
We
All right.
you.
Do me a favor, Landon. Tell the folks watching a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I was a pretty decently high-level recruit. I did get an offer from Alabama, got to go down there and visit Nick Saban and all that good stuff my freshman year of high school, and got an offer. Didn't get back after that, but I think I remember, I want to say—
What year was that?
So that would have been that would have been spring of 2018 is when I came down. So I don't know. I think that might have been, I remember hanging out with a couple different linemen. Alex Leatherwood would have been on the team, right? At that point. Yeah, I want to say I was in an apartment with him and someone else, and that's kind of where I hung out for like the night. So it was a good time. That was my only time in Alabama. I kind of did like a southern swing, and so I ended up at Penn State. I was going into year 2 of starting. I got like my 6th concussion, went through some stuff for sure, and decided to hang it up. It was one of those kind of crazy decisions and kind of shocked people around this area. But I decided to prioritize my health, and I knew I wanted to do other things outside of just playing ball. And I was a broadcast journalism major and just started covering the Penn State football team. That was spring of 2024. So started out covering really just Penn State only. And then it led me into starting to cover all of college football really heavily this past playoffs, where I did a lot of like Miami, I did a little bit of Alabama, Indiana at the time, but started to grow. And then it led me into this top 10 series that I started in the offseason, where I basically take a whole week on my channel, on my Twitter, on my YouTube, and just pick a team. And so I put Bama, they're my number 10 team going into 2026. And I spent a ton of time doing film breakdowns, cut-ups, advanced stats, and really just kind of the idea started because I was like, I want to learn about all the top teams. And I'm like, why don't I make this content too and kind of put this out there? So it's been really fun, and I've always really been into the film. I have a lot of fun doing it. If you ever see my film breakdowns, I'm always doing like sound effects and having fun. It's not too boring or anything like that. I try to
FM DJ, right?
Exactly. And I definitely love to live in the O-line, D-line world. I do everything. I did a film breakdown on Keelan Russell versus Austin Mack. That's on my channel. I did a Bama preview, but I love to live in the O-line, D-line world for sure. So
trenches, baby.
It's the best. It's the best. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Dude, we're happy you had the time, man. Landon was super generous. I sent him a message on X, and he immediately was like, yeah, brother, let's knock it out. So yeah,
Sweet.
We're super excited to have you. You brought up the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, of course, for Alabama fans. Going into spring ball starts Sunday for Alabama. The big question is the offensive line. We got a retooled offensive line, and you've had some opinions on X about where you think the offensive line is going to settle. Looking at some of these transfers, I know you've looked at some of these guys. What's your initial take on Alabama's offensive line going into the 2026 season, or spring ball, I should say?
Yeah, so there's a lot of questions I'm excited to get answered about this offensive line coming into this spring ball season. For first, what type of development does Adrian Clem have? So, I mean, this is his first season here and, was an NFL guy for a while. And I think that's kind of a different world. So I'm excited to see what he can do where you really have to be more of a developer. I feel like in the offensive line coach in the NFL is not nearly as same as it is in college football. And especially in a world where offensive line play is kind of struggling overall. So we need it more now than ever. So excited to see him do that. But obviously you have an offensive line that you kind of naturally worry about cohesiveness, I think, because you're looking at this and you say, hey, I only got 2 guys from last year that played serious snaps in William Sanders and Michael Carroll. And so it's like, okay, what is this going to look like? We got a lot of unknowns, a lot of guys we don't know anything about. And I think one common theme for a majority of these transfers, it's a lot of guys that haven't played a ton of college football. So you look at that and it's like, all right. And you also got these kind of outliers, Rayson Delgado, one of the greatest names in college football right now. He's
without question
to start at center, and that's a Cal Poly transfer. We're talking FCS to not only FBS, but SEC where the big boys stay. So a lot of those I'm excited about, but you get these question marks of, who is Ethan Fields, Ole Miss transfer that has only played 86 career snaps. You also get Ty Haywood, former, I believe, I didn't know this before, he was committed to Alabama at one point, correct?
Yeah, he flipped right at the last minute.
Right at the last minute. We did predict him to Alabama too, though. We had that one.
So, you get him back, only 15 career snaps this past season at Michigan, but someone obviously very highly touted. And even in just a couple snaps, you can tell there's a lot there to work with. So I'm interested. You get someone like Jackson Lloyd coming back for his second year at Alabama. That's a big 6'7", 320-pound guy. But there's a big question about, like, hey, can we, just upgrade that anchor, or how much stronger are you going to get in the weight room? And really, as a former offensive lineman, almost the biggest jump for me was after that true freshman season and that spring ball, where it's really kind of like your second spring ball, and everything starts to kind of slow down a little bit for you. So Jackson Lloyd is someone I'm putting a mark on, saying, hey, this is one of the names I cannot wait to hear about as spring ball kind of progresses. But you guys let me know. We can go down the whole offensive line of kind of what I'm fine. I have a whole
top bottom.
Dude, do it. Yeah, that's what we want. This is your show tonight.
Let's do it, man. One thing I do want to note, that there's one outlier as far as the transfers Bama got in. Bama's been known since I was young of these huge, especially at guards, these huge guards. And so I think we're going to start to see this trend in college football of getting away from 330 plus offensive linemen. And so you obviously have Caden Proctor, and that was a whole topic of conversation. It still is in the NFL draft. But one of the main reasons I think that's happening is because you're looking for these more athletic linemen. And a lot of people are saying, hey, offensive linemen aren't as dominant as they used to be. And I think there's a couple different reasons that's true. There's a lot of transferring. There's a lot of offensive line coaches deciding not really to develop and more say, hey, we're just going to get the 5th-year guy that's already been developed somewhere else, and it's going to be a plug and play for 1 year. And so I think what you're starting to see is that you're starting to see defenses are slanting, twisting, blitzing at an all-time high. You saw that with Indiana. They are kind of the mold, the model, if you will, and a lot of defenses are going that route. So instead of a defensive lineman just always coming off the ball, 2 hands in, and you just have to drive them up the ball, it's actually a lot of kind of react to what the defense is giving you. It's a lot easier to do that when you are under 330 pounds. So I just wanted to note that outside of one transfer here, everybody is a lot lighter than you're used to. But we'll start out at left tackle, who I have starting right now is Javen James. And so we talked about Jackson Lloyd. And I think right now where you sit, it's Javen James' job to lose. So Mississippi State transfer, and someone that isn't incredibly polished necessarily, but 6'5", 320, moves really, really well. I love the way he moves in pass pro. I love it run game. He knows how to accelerate. It's very clean when you watch him. It's one of those things that's like, oh, that guy is an athlete. And one thing that he does that I really, really like in his pass sets is he's always switching things up from a standpoint of, sometimes you see those vertical sets where they're going straight back, ton of time and space between him and the DN. And then he will change it up and he will just get into these jump sets where he goes and attacks the defensive lineman. And I like it because that messes with the defensive line. Like, he has a lot better understanding of just the game because he's been playing a little bit more. And I think out of all these transfers, I believe he actually has the most reps out of all of them, except maybe Rayson Delgado. but really, really good punch. He comes with a strong punch. A lot of the time you'll see him like just absolutely stun guys.
Yeah.
Biggest kind of that next step for him, and this is where I'm interested to see what Adrian Clem kind of implements. When he did lose, I think he had 3 or 4 sacks let up last year for Mississippi State. When he did lose, it was a lot of he always throws a 2-hand punch. And we're starting to see this transition in the offensive line world away from just the 2-hand punch to what we call independent hands. And so that's kind of the adaptation to defensive line and how good they've gotten with their moves and hands. And you see every defensive line dummy that you work against as a defensive lineman, it has 2 hands that are straight out. And that's what they're used to working on. So you start to think about that and you say, hey, how are we going to adapt? Because if that's what they're training against, let's give them something different. So you're starting to get into this world of independent hands where you throw one and then the other. And it allows you, if you throw one, it gets swiped down. Boom, I'm coming with the other one. And that's a big step I'd like to see Javen James take. That wasn't really an aspect of his game. I think if he adds that, he can be a really, really good offensive tackle. Like, I think like he's got all the tools. I think he's one of the biggest benefactors of just a little more sculpting. So that's where I'm looking at Adrian Clem. And then, like I said, I think Jackson Lloyd is kind of the backup swing offensive tackle. Still has an opportunity to beat him out. Don't get me wrong. I'm just kind of going off of the tape from where we saw him last. And where we saw him last, it was definitely true freshman tape. It was a guy that just didn't look strong enough to be able to necessarily start in the SEC. But once again, like I said, that jump from freshman to redshirt freshman year or sophomore year, however you want to say it, is huge, not only from the standpoint of the game slowing down, but just getting stronger. When you're in like 2 full years almost, or, a year and a half plus in a program, in a real college weightlifting program, and they're getting the weight on you and all that type of stuff, that is a big jump. So I don't think necessarily it's absolutely Javen James' job. And I think there's also talk about right tackle, and we'll get to that in a second with Michael Carroll and possibly inside. But yeah. I think there's definitely a competition there. But right now I'm giving that to Javen James because he's the veteran guy, and there's a lot of stuff that I kind of like on tape there.
Independent hands. That's what we're hashtagging, Cotton.
Yeah. Got it.
Independent hands, baby.
I'm already working on the graphic, man.
So no, I really am. I'm very curious to see what Adrian Clem does, because he was I'm a diehard Steelers fan. He was a Steelers offensive line coach. I believe that was 2020 what he was.
Yes. So, another brother. Yes.
Come on, bro. It's been a rough, really my entire I was pretty young. I was born in 02. So like I'm pretty young. I barely remember 08, and then 2010 was like a heartbreak for me when the Steelers lost to the Packers in the Super Bowl. So it's been rough. I love it. It would take too long, but I could run and grab my terrible tablets over.
I love this dude. Michael, you're out.
I'm all in.
All right, Landon, you and me now. We're going to talk Steeler football now. So let's dive in here. Mike McCarthy. I'm not a fan, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just kidding.
Oh, hey, listen, fire. Sell the team, Art Rooney, the second.
Okay, let's go back on track. Sorry about that, y'all. Apologize.
Yeah. So looking at left guard, I think you're probably looking at William Sanders right now. This is the one other guy that 125 snaps last year, so not a ton of snaps, but still pretty significant. Yep. So 6'3", 310. Really like him as a puller. Definitely has times where he has like the mauler tendency, and then times where, once again, a young guy where it's like, okay, I'd like you to be able to bring a little bit more there. So another guy that's going to continue to benefit of more time in the weight room. I think something you're looking at with him is continuing to get better at pass protection. There's a few reps where really struggles with recovery, and that's a big thing you're dealing with. Obviously at tackle, but at guard too. When you're dealing with these big defensive tackles in the SEC that are going to give you like that hump move, and they're just going to try to pull you, they're ragdoll you, and you got to be able to sit down on that thing and not take those power moves. And so that's why like to see him get a little bit stronger. But I think overall it's his year at left guard, and I look at some of these, and it's almost I don't know who else will beat him out necessarily at that position as well, just because of where he's positioned, the reps he's gotten. And I do think he's put a lot of good stuff on tape there. So that's who I see going at left guard. And then we talked about it. The greatest name. Alabama has lined up some great names. So, I mean, you had Kool-Aid McKinstry. You got QB Reese, who I finally found out that those are initials. I figured they were, but someone on Twitter told me. I was like, listen, maybe his parents just thought he was going to be a QB. So I was in, but I'm sure we'll get to him eventually.
Funny story for you, Landon. I've got an uncle. His name is QV, but that is his name, QV. No periods. Doesn't stand for anything. It's 2 letters. QV.
Like
That's
QVC?
it. That's his name. Like
Wow.
his brother's name is FE. So they said his mom didn't want anybody to have their names, so she picked 2 letters for each of their names. It's. I'm dead serious, but yeah, that's it. Look it up.
I don't think anybody else. That is.
Yeah.
That's,
Anyway, back to live action. Sorry.
No,
I just thought that was an interesting fact.
isn't FE like the chemical signal or symbol for like iron or something like that? That's kind of cool, right?
Oh,
I have to
man.
look that up.
Sorry,
You're
I
talking
don't know.
to-
Did I just nerded out?
You're talking
Sorry.
to some
Anyway.
football guys here.
Yeah,
Not
carry on. Maybe I should leave.
I was in College of Com for a reason, man. I was a business major, and then I went into my first accounting class and just absolutely I called my TA right away. I'm like, yeah, this is done. we're
it's
done.
over.
This is not happening. Get me to something where I don't have to take this class. So no, but talking
Rayson
center,
Delgatti.
Rayson Delgatti. I think it's going to be him. So, like I said, naturally, anybody who talks about Rayson Delgatti, the whole idea is going to be, hey, FCS jumping to SEC, not only FBS but SEC. How are you going to handle that transition? 6'3", 300 pounds, and it's kind of your traditional center nowadays. We have really gotten into these athletic centers that are just able to just move. And, I think you saw that with even Parker Brailsford. Like, that's the type of guy that people want at center now. Jason Kelsey, obviously, is a lot bigger than him, but Jason Kelsey kind of revolutionary in that sense of just like, hey, we're running a lot of wide zone. We're running that pin and pull where we're moving our center in space. And that's exactly what he fits into. So great movement. I love how he's a scrappy guy. He's going to finish through the whistle, like through the echo, not just stop. So that's an exciting aspect of his game. But I think it does really come to that main question you're going to hear everybody bring up about him, because there is times on tape when you watch him kind of against Utah and some of the better teams he's played. The question is at the point of attack. So like I said, it loves to finish, loves to drive guys off the screen, but it's at that point of attack where I'm a center and I'm back blocking and a defensive tackle is putting 2 hands into me and trying to just condense me back down in and just completely clog everything up, where you do see him have a little bit of struggles. So that's my biggest question is, getting a little bit stronger. I mean, this is, I think, year 4 now for him, but that really is like you're going to hear that narrative about him, but that's just kind of, that's what he's going to deal with. Now you get to go 15 practices against some really good defensive linemen. So I think this is another guy we're watching, and I'm very curious to see kind of what we're going to hear out of camp about him, because I see him most likely being the starting center. And another guy that I look around and I don't know who else would take that. I mean, so let's talking about the starter and then the backup at each position, I guess. Caden Strayhorn, Michigan transfer, 6'2", 308. And so if this is an interior guy that's kind of a center guard combination, I struggled with his tape. It was I think he had a couple snaps on one game early in the season, and then he basically played all of the bowl game against Texas. Was not good. I would say out of the watches of every single offensive lineman, it was maybe the roughest one. Now, it was a pretty good defensive line, I will say that he was going against. But there was just a lot of struggles, a lot of playing out of his legs, so not playing in that base, not a ton of aggressiveness, and missed a couple pulls as a pulling guard, and guy just completely came in and hit his running back. So this is another guy where I think there's a lot of potential there, but this is an Adrian Clem project written all over this one with Strayhorn. So that's kind of what I'm looking at with him. Now, talking right guard, Ethan Fields is who I have here. And I think sometimes some people were like, don't expect a ton from him. Like I said, this guy, 86 career snaps coming into year 3, I believe, 63 snaps only last year. And so I'll tell you what, this might have been my favorite watch, because I turn on the tape and I'm putting together these cut-ups over on Twitter. If you want to check it out, at Landon Tengwall. I think I did about 12 different. If you go over to my video section, I think I had like 12 different Alabama cut-ups, and I still have a couple more that I have not put out yet that we'll put out as this keeps going. But he might have been my favorite that I put together. And because 63 snaps, I think I had about 12 highlight plays to pick from, in my opinion, for an offensive lineman through 63 snaps. And that's what got me excited. I mean, he is a classic, just big old behind guard, 6'3", 320. So, not like huge, but he's just massive in that sense. He's not like, the weight isn't anything crazy, but he's just a big body. And he can move, like he can accelerate for the big body. He's got multiple just nasty reps on tape. One where he pulls and absolutely lights this 2-lane defender up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
There's one where he just tosses. It's one of the earlier games that Ole Miss was playing, but he just tosses a linebacker into the ground. But the biggest thing for me was like, that's cool to see, and especially when he was playing against lower level teams. But I saw a lot of IQ out of him and a lot of fundamental things that I like, where when you're dealing with, like we talked about earlier, a lot of that slanting and moving from the defensive line that you're seeing now. A lot of young offensive linemen struggle with that because it challenges them of, I barely know the basic rules. Now I'm dealing with movement post-snap, and it's like I'm tested 0.5 seconds, and I have to be physical. And so I see Ethan Fields have these situations where guys are moving, guys are slanting, and he's super patient. He's really good on the combo blocks of knowing how long to stay on, and then boom, I'm going to get off on the linebacker, and understanding the leverage that he has of, hey, we're blocking all the way out here to the left, or all the way out here to the right. I'm at right guard, and the linebacker we're double teaming to is all the way inside. Hey, I have a ton of time. I can stay on this double team for a while and then get off because I got time and distance. Like little things like that meant a lot to me watching his tape. Naturally, though, you have to question, if I see all these good things on his tape, why did he only play 63 snaps for Ole Miss last year, which generally had a pretty good offensive line? But you think someone that I'm describing this good is going to play more than just 63 snaps. So naturally, I don't really have the answer to that question because I liked most of the things I saw. The one negative I put is just at times he was a little bit out of control because he likes to be physical. If you got all these positives and your negative is out of control, I can work with that 10 out of 10 times if I'm Adrian Clem. I'm that's easy. I'm all over that. So that's what I saw from him.
Well said.
Another guy, I'm really excited to hear about this offensive line and what's coming out of it. But that's a name I'm curious about, and I'm just telling you, I would not be surprised if he becomes fairly dominant. But we'll see.
So
Hey,
Landon,
if your biggest negative is you're too physical, then we can work with that.
Yeah.
So Landon, I actually was of the thought that Michael Carroll might end up moving into guard. And then I watched your Ethan Field video, and it changed my entire opinion. I really did. I sat there and I was like, this guy's might be onto something, because what everything you're saying, that like Jeff just brought up, that physicality, and Alabama's obviously they're going to be looking for better guard play. They couldn't run the ball worth a squat last year, so they're going to be looking for some better guard play. And I like him. I do. And I think it frees up Carroll, who's got experience over the right tackle position. So you definitely changed my opinion on it, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I looked at that too. And like, I saw a lot of people, questioning, should Michael Carroll move inside? And so I think, we can just talk about him. I think the biggest thing I look at with that is it was number one, like if he were to move inside, let's say, whatever, you move these guards around. I mean, I think number one, this is a guy who, when he did come in and really started to get settled, let up a couple sacks towards the end of the season. But you see a true freshman in the SEC that is just very talented. He's got the natural ability that you look at and you say, hey, I'm not saying for sure that this guy is going to be a first-round draft pick, although I'm putting my stamp on it just because what I saw I really liked. But you see this big body that moves incredibly well, that is very young, that has a tendency to want to finish, and is a high IQ player too. Like there's a lot of, especially on like pass protection, of understanding what the defense is doing, of hey, I'm going to help out my guard, or I'm going to help out my tight end as much as I can, but still take care of my responsibility. Because there's some guys that try to help out and they do it in almost a dumb fashion, and it's like they screw themselves, and it's like you weren't supposed to help that much, and it put you in a bad situation in your matchup.
You weren't supposed to help that much.
Yeah, Michael Carroll does a great job with it. So it's a guy that I actually knew. He visited Penn State a couple times. His dad played here. So
Wow.
So yeah, I got to know him. There's so much to like for me at tackle for him that I don't know. I'm not going to say it would like hurt me to put him inside, but I feel like this is an athletic body that can just move, and he's good. There's a lot of stuff that I like that I don't know. I just don't want to take him away from a position that I felt like for a true freshman in the SEC at the most physical position, I was incredibly impressed with his tape. And so I look at the one negative I'd say in his game isn't even that bad for a true freshman. It's really getting outside with his hands. And so sometimes that will lead to him kind of getting bull rushed a little bit and kind of getting that edge just bent on him by those defensive ends. But that's something that you can very easily improve. And once again, if that's the main negative, like you need to just get better with your hand placement. That's so normal for a true freshman as for someone that put a lot of good stuff on tape. I just like him staying out at right tackle. But it really just comes down to what happens with your guards. Like, I don't know, like if you do get in spring ball and William Sanders and Ethan Fields and you're both like with both of them, like, I don't know about this. Maybe you do move Michael Carroll inside and you don't know if Ty Haywood or Jackson Lloyd are going to pop on the scene and be guys that in year 2 for both of them are going to be able to really play football. And I think that's the most, I talked about that being the biggest jump from first year to second year. It's the most unpredictable when you look at these talented guys that were big time recruits. How quickly are you going to be able to play? What is the most physical position? And that's why you see offensive linemen. I might have to do numbers on it eventually, but I would bet that for the most part, offensive line is position you see true freshmen start at the least. And another reason why Michael Carroll was so impressive to me, just because it's such a big jump, especially it used to be just playing like 22, maybe 23-year-olds. Now I'm going against a 26-year-old defensive end that's on year 8 of college football because he got 4 waivers. And it's like, oh, mom, I'm 18 going against this grown man. And so it's a different world that you're living in now. That whole situation is definitely something to monitor. It seems like right now Michael Carroll will stay at right tackle, but I think there's going to be so much depending on just what these 15 practices look like. And then real quick, I just want to throw in the last name I didn't talk about, and that is the outlier in terms of the body types, is Nick Brooks from Texas, who is 6'7", 350 pounds at guard. He could go all over the place. Just a massive human being. The number one thing is he like most guys that size, and like I talked about, of why people are maybe shying a little bit away from these just massive offensive linemen, is like his movement isn't very good. It seems like he is a little uncomfortable in just how big of a body he's in. It's a huge body. And so you saw that on his tape. He played in 4 games, let up 20 pressures in 4 games. And that one against, it was Florida. It was the Florida defensive line. And poor Arch Manning, it was like 36 pressures, like 9 sacks. And Nick Brooks let up 9 of those pressures in one game from the guard position. So saying that all to say, like, it was a very up and down tape. There were some things where I'm like, that's why I think this guy can be really good. But it was a lot more of like, oh no, I don't know about this guy all the way. So once again, Adrian Clem, like, there's a lot of tests on this offensive line because it's so young, it's so inexperienced. Let's see what Adrian Clem can do from a developmental standpoint.
Absolutely
agree.
Landon, I want to ask you a question. There's a thought behind the Alabama fans that with Ryan Grubb, the offense looks at the offensive line to be more of a finesse unit as opposed to a power unit, that mauler. It was really upsetting to a lot of fans to kind of see what Indiana did in the Rose Bowl, in the trenches along the offensive line. Do you think there's any truth to that? And where do you find balance? Like you're talking about with this move to new size offensive linemen, where do you find the balance between keeping that physicality, but also having the movability and finesse?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you look at it and every Bama fan wants to get back to what was dubbed, joyless murder ball. And that gives me so much excitement to just even remember that phrase. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. I think part of what you see, what was so curious to me about the offensive line last year, there was so much talent on it. Like, it wasn't like that wasn't a talented offensive line.
Right.
It felt almost like the offensive line did not have the mindset that we're going to go out there and just F people up. Like, there was no thought in that we're going to go be the bullies. And that's what you've seen so long from Alabama up front. It was like, you're about to just get manhandled. And there's nothing you can do about it. And you should have been doing that with Caden Proctor, with Parker Brailsford, with a lot of these guys, even Michael Carroll when he was getting in. Like, there was a lot of talent and things to like on this offensive line, and it just never came together. I mean, I remember doing a cut-up specifically on the Bama run game. I hadn't watched anything. It was after the Florida State week 1, and I'm like, guys, like, this run game is just a mess. Like, just guys out of control. It didn't feel like guys were super confident. Like, Caden Proctor didn't look all the way confident, and just what he was doing on inside zone is something as simple as that. Like, it was just really messy. And so I not knowing too much about it, I don't want to question the culture of the offensive line room last year, but I'm not going to lie, I'm doing that a little bit because it just didn't seem like there was, great leadership, or there was a mindset of when they walked in, we're going to be the dudes that everybody looks to on this team to establish the tone. And that's what you need out of your offensive line, especially at Alabama. And then on top of that, too, I think there's a couple things. I think you did. I mean, obviously the passing offense was everything, but you also let up a lot of pressure. I mean, you look at these Kalen Dbor offenses. You go back to even all the way back to when he was OC at Indiana in 2019, and obviously he doesn't call the plays anymore. But you just look at all the offenses he's had, and generally it always had pretty good pass protection. And dude, Milroe and Simpson, their pressure rates are way higher than Penix had for him at Washington, than Penix had for him when he was at Indiana when he was his coach. Like, there was a lot more distress as well in the passing game. So I think that was a problem when you're living in this short passing game, which a lot of what the offense was. Everybody's playing up, and then that even makes it harder to run the football. And then you live in this crappy world of we can't run the football. We're trying to, our short pass is basically our run. And it's like, oh no, we're not living in a great place. And then on top of that too, you're used to having, and let's just be honest, an elite running back at Alabama, and you just didn't really have that last year. There was plenty of times where, I'm not gonna lie, I was close to making a Jam Miller cut up where I'm just screaming, hit the hole, like just go.
Brother,
you
take into the choir now.
Lord.
Yeah, dude. So I mean, that is one guy that
brother.
I'm excited about. Oh damn, where did his name go? I had it up here. New running back that reclassified that should be a junior right now.
EJ Crow.
EJ Crow.
Yeah.
I think that's someone that I'm looking at. Look, I think Daniel Hill did some good things, and definitely, I completely get why he's expected to be the guy, but you get someone of that caliber. I don't know. Maybe he can change some things around at running back, but I think it was a mixture, kind of all those things. I never, when something goes wrong like that. Hell, I was covering Penn State this year. Talk about things going wrong. You're tied with like Texas for being like the natty favorite, and it's one of the worst seasons in Penn State football history. So I know, like, when things go wrong, it's not just one thing. I think it was a combination of all of those things. But I think that's why it's even more important that Clem coming in is like, look, like, we are going to reestablish this thing. We are going to do what Bama has done in the past. But at the same time, I will say, you look once again at Kalen Dbor's history of his offenses. And like I said, it's not his offense all the way, but just the teams he's coached. And he's never been a big time running game guy. You go back the last 4 years before Bama, never even had an offense inside the top 80 rushing in the FBS, but it was still great offenses. And then you also go and look at the last 4 SEC national championship winners. Where you go 2019 through 2022 with LSU, Bama, and then Georgia 2 times. Outside of Georgia in 2022, I think they were 13th or 14th in the nation in FBS and rushing. Those other teams, Bama and then Georgia, like they were like 40, 50th in the nation in rushing. So you don't need to be a juggernaut up front. You don't need to be top 10 in rushing. Yeah. It just can't be 129. Like, that is just, you're not going to. It's honestly, it's amazing that you even won a playoff game with that type of rushing attack. So,
I've been screaming that from the hilltop.
Screaming that all year. Like, the guys had no business going and win 11 games when you can't run the ball at all.
And it's amazing. You think about what the potential could have been for that team had they been able to run the ball just a little bit. Just a little bit. You brought up Daniel Hill, and I don't want to get too much into running backs because I don't know how prepared you are for that conversation, but I feel like Daniel Hill's more of a situational type guy, big body guy. He's around the same. He's not the same running style, but he's around the same size that Derrick Henry was when Henry was at Alabama. Definitely doesn't have that lateral quickness that you'd want to see. But you brought up EJ Crow. I actually did a video on him last week on why he could potentially surprise. Obviously, if he's good in pass pro, something like that, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. But ultimately, I'm about to put you on the spot, and I'm sorry. You had to pin it on offensive line play or running back play. Who are you pinning it on? Who gets the largest piece of the pie when it comes to blame?
I'm going to put on the offensive line, because at the end of the day, I think if you have a subpar running back and you have great blocking, that's going to be a great run game. To overcome bad blocking is, to me, like the same thing of like overcoming bad coaching. Like, it is borderline impossible. If you better be Barry Sanders to overcome poor blocking from your offensive linemen, especially in the SEC, where you just have these insane human beings. So I'm going to put it on the offensive line. Like I said, you get almost a completely new group of guys. I'm really curious to see where this goes, but I think it's going to be not only important for, like I said, them to be able to run the football. You got to get better than 129th in the FBS, but it is also going to be that pass protection, making sure I think we're going to get to it, but whoever's playing quarterback for Alabama as QB1 in 2026, you've got to be able to keep them more clean than you did with Milroe and Simpson.
Absolutely. I got to give you kudos. The O-line guy actually putting the blame on the O-line and not the running back. That's good stuff. Quarterbacks, man. Yeah, that's going to be the talk of the town in Tuscaloosa starting on Sunday. It really already is. Alabama's got two pretty capable guys, I feel like. Obviously, the fan base is very heavy on Keelan Russell, and you recently did a breakdown on Keelan, and I would love for you to you take over, man, and tell us what you saw.
Yeah, so naturally, anytime you have the unanimous 5-star, I mean, whenever I was coming up, like Duncanville always had those dudes, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to want to lean towards that. Like, you want that. You also kind of gravitate towards the younger guy because it's the future, and that's exciting. Watching the tape, you can tell that Russell is just simply more talented than Austin Mack. That is just, it's the truth. There is a reason, there is a method to the 5-star rating. I don't think it's perfect, but there's a reason why he was rated where he was rated. He has more God-gifted ability, that is for sure. I mean, you see some of these passes where Russell's not even necessarily going through a ton of reads. It's like, hey, I know I'm just about to beat you with my arm. Like, he had this corner route, I believe, against Eastern Illinois, so not that great competition. I think he only had, there was less than 20, I believe, passes this year for him. So there's not a ton to go off of, and it's against lower level competition. But there are just some arrogant throws is how I describe them. And there's also, there was one play that I did a cut up of him that went did pretty well on Twitter, and people were mad because he had two guys essentially open on these very, vertical routes. And he was about on the 25-yard line, and he didn't throw those balls. And there was a lot of hey, he needs to get better at processing. I said, look, this is like his 10th throw of his career, and he misses what should be a touchdown, except for the fact that he runs forward 2 yards, stops on a dime because he sees a linebacker coming, jumps back, is about to get sandwiched, and has this Aaron Rodgers-esque. That's what I saw when I saw it. This Aaron Rodgers-esque, just boom, just flicks it out up over the top, 20 yards to his receiver. He walks in for a touchdown. So I think that play, if you want to see that, if you just go to my Twitter and you can type in Keelan Russell, it perfectly sums up what he is, because there is this question of, how are you going to develop? How are you going to be able to see the field? There's not too much question about his physical ability. This is a guy that has, I said, I'd give him, if I were to give him a badge like it's NBA 2K, this guy has quick draw. It's just so quick and out. He's running these RPOs, and when he decides to pull it and throw it out to the little bubble screen, it is so fast. And so I see all these tools. Obviously, just from being able to run standpoint, there were times where he took off, needs to learn how to slide for sure, but it's this guy can just scoot out of the pocket. So you have everything. The biggest question just becomes, it is for most talented quarterbacks that have the gifts that he has, how are you going to be able to see the field? And also, what type of protection is your offensive line going to give you? Sure. Your wide receivers are we going to get back? Is Ryan Williams going to get back to early freshman year form? I think there's a lot that I liked on tape. I know we're talking the quarterbacks, but there's definitely a lot of stuff there. If you have another run game that's even in the hundreds in the FBS and rushing yards per game, that's not something great to have a quarterback to lean on. But the other aspect of this too is, I think naturally, I put Bama as my number 10 team in the nation, and as far as the preseason, I still think this is a 2027, 2028 roster. This is a really young team that going into 2027 next year after this coming season, you're going to return majority of this starting roster. That's just the truth. So that's not to say that it's going to be bad at all this year. If I'm Kalen DeBoer, there is a little bit of a sense of dude, I'm selling this is a team of the future. And so then that starts to beg the question. I'll get into Austin Mack and what I saw on his tape too, but that starts to beg the question, if it is close, if I'm DeBoer, I think I'm just going to lean with Russell, because I said, this is a team of the future. And why would I not just give him the reins at this point? A guy that's going to very well could be here for the next 3 years. And like I said, all the talent is there. There's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be some things that he might miss, of passes that he should throw that he's not going to throw. But you're going to see some ridiculous things on tape. I'm already getting excited thinking about the first time cutting on his tape, because no matter what in those early games, they're both going to play, I feel like. So I think that's going to be curious to see. Now, or you want to kind of dive into that? You want me to get into Austin Mack real quick?
It's your call, man.
All right, let's dive into Austin Mack. Obviously been with Dbor for a while. The number one thing that stands out to me, especially when you watch, because you're comparing, they played in the same games against Eastern Illinois, and then help me out. Who was the other bad team?
Louisiana Monroe.
Yes, Louisiana Monroe. So you see them both there, and then obviously you put in Austin Mack, and that's the right move. You put him in when you're going against the best scary defense that has these crazy pressures. I thought he handled it really well. Like he came in and he has a couple passes where he's just slinging it around. Sure. And there's a lot of confidence in how he goes through his reads. And like I even highlighted some plays from him that I think most people just naturally look at the play and it was like an incompletion and not the greatest thrown ball. But I watch him and I'm like, this is a guy that knows how to read the entire field, that is quick through decisions, that I'm looking to read number 1, not there, read 2, not there, read 3, not there. And I'm getting all the way back to the right, go from the left side through 4 reads all the way to my check down. That's all the way on the right side. And that was kind of that missed pass, if anybody, I believe that was to Hill, where Aiden Fisher was coming off the edge and like jumped in the air and was completely in his way. And so, like plays like that, where like I see a lot of value in that of how he plays. And, there's a lot of good ball placement on his tape. Like there's arm talent there. You talk about Russell and how I do think he's more talented. Like, don't get me wrong. Austin Mack has some dang talent. Like he has some ball placement where it is cocky as well. It's a good job of like putting it away and like kind of protecting his receiver, his tight ends, especially over the middle. There was at least 2 times I marked down where I'm like, naturally you'd say that's not like a good ball because he's throwing a corner route and he leaves it like back inside, but he left it there because there was a safety, drifting kind of over top. And it was like, hey, I need to throw him open. I need to throw him away from that safety, and has a good understanding of that. And look, you talk about Russell's athleticism where, yes, it is better. Austin Mack can get out of the pocket too. Like he's got those long strides that he can be mobile and make some stuff happen with his legs. Had a really nice long touchdown run against one of those 2 teams. I've watched a ton of Bama tape, so it all kind of blends together. But it was one of the 2 bad teams that we were talking about with the Louisiana Monroe or Eastern Illinois. And so this is, it's going to be the most talked about quarterback battle. I don't really know if there is another one in FBS. Honestly, I've looked around. So, and I don't know. I want to get yours. Like, do you think that is this going to go all the way? Who do we got week 1, week 2, week 3, that situation?
So I agree with you in the sense that if it's close, you're going to end up with Russell getting the starting job. Ultimately, I think because of Mack being in the system with Dbor for so long, he's played with Ryan Grubb before. I think he's ultimately going to get the nod to start this thing off. But I just feel like if it's close, at somehow, some way, Keelan Russell is going to end up working his way into the starting job before it's all said and done. Just because I feel like no matter what happens, Mack's probably gone next. If he balls out, he's probably gone after the season. If he gets benched or doesn't win the starting job, it's probably gone next season. So go with the 5-star, man. But to your point,
totally agree.
Everybody's very, very hype on Keelan Russell because they saw the same thing you saw. I will say on some of those plays, he missed some wide open dudes. He missed, maybe went with the wrong option, but still was making plays. Mack, to me, my biggest concern with him is his ability to kind of layer the ball. It seems like everything he throws is 100 miles an hour. And so, I need to see that throughout the spring, but I'm still having a hard time pulling off of Austin Mack being the starting guy, but I just feel like if it's close, it's got to be Keelan.
Same.
Yeah, so you start out with Eastern Carolina, Kentucky, and then you go Florida State. So, I think you're going to have a situation when you're very likely getting to see both of them. And I think you're right. I think as long as it's not crazy in spring ball, like evident, it is probably going to be Austin Mack that starts it out. But yeah, I just have this weird feeling that like in one of these first 2 games, I'm going to put it on. I'm going to put on record right now. Eastern Carolina, Kentucky.
I'll clip it.
Russell's going to come in and he's going to have this like ridiculous play, that the type of play you're going to see on ESPN for the next 3 days, and everybody's going to be saying, "Oh my God, it's the next coming." That's my prediction right now, and there's just going to be this like media presence of like it's got to be Russell at this point, and I feel like that's going to be like going into the Florida State game, and especially a little bit of a revenge game, and you got to get that one, and I feel like that's going to that one. It's going to be Russell, so I'm laying my prediction out there.
I tell you, if you're right. And they go into that Florida State game. If that happens, they go into the Florida State game and Russell doesn't start. you want to talk about a crash out from Alabama fans. They will lose their absolute minds.
And if we lose that game and he doesn't play or he doesn't start or whatever, it's going to be even worse.
It's going to be rough.
It's going to be rough. But I'm with you. Mack he'll have to flat out win the job, but if it's close, Landon, Russell is Dbor's golden goose. I mean, that's the guy. That's the guy he went and got. That's the guy that's dynamic enough to do what he wants to do. That's his quote, Michael Penix. It'd be hard to say you have to play like Michael Penix. The guy was a lottery pick, so it's hard to put expectations like that on a kid. But I've been saying this whole time that that's Dbor's golden goose, man. That's the guy that'll make or break Dbor's tenure here at Alabama, in my opinion.
That's fair. I mean, that's absolutely fair.
If it's close, they got to go with him and let him cut his teeth playing games. Like Deion Sanders said, man, I ain't learned nothing watching a game. He said, I got to get on the field. He said, I never left a game I didn't play in and I learned a lot today. So
there you go. No,
get him in the game.
I'm with you. Let him play. Just put him out there. I'm with you. I think the whole fan base is leaning that way. I think that's what you got to do if you're Dbor, but I'm curious to see how it's going to shake out. It's going to be good.
It will be good. I think it'll be a lot of fun. We haven't had a legitimate, real quarterback competition in a while. I think last year everybody knew it was going to end up being Ty Simpson, and so I'm looking forward to following it. It starts on Sunday, and we'll follow it the entire way. There was something I was going to ask you. Chat was kind of asking it, and I wanted to ask you. I cannot remember for the life of me. This is a good question. Another one of those hot spot questions. Can Kalen Dbor afford to lose with Keelan Russell sitting on the bench?
No. I talked about this in my Alabama preview. Like, I really don't think so. And because if you are Kalen Dbor, we talked about the 2027, 2028 season. Like, those are your seasons. This very well could be a good year, but that's what you're selling. You're like, look, even if we do, lose a couple games this year, it's like, guys, look what we got coming. You got to be here to be able to sell that hope, though. And if you have a really bad season and you make a choice that pisses a lot of people off, you're dealing with the fact that maybe you might not be here. And that's someone that, and you look at Kalen Dbor, it was interesting. He said, look, he was at the top of the list for a lot of people. Penn State was at the top of the list. Michigan apparently wrote him a blank check. So there was a lot of people that wanted him. And he's like, look, I'm going to stay at Alabama. And so I think that's the biggest reason why you go with Russell, because let's just say it's 9-3 again. Let's just say it's 9-3. 9-3 with Austin Mack is incredibly different than 9-3 with Keelan Russell.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, that's
bingo.
That is a way different feel for the Alabama fans. It is a way different feel that everybody in college football, how they're going to perceive Alabama, where there's this question, what's next if it's Austin Mack and the season doesn't go very well? If it's Keelan Russell in the season, you still play some really good games and you have this phenom and you have a team that's all basically going to return the next year. That narrative just feels so different. So to answer your question, no, I don't think he can afford to lose if he does go with Austin Mack. And you have a schedule that, look, I think has its tough spots where you are going Georgia at home, at Tennessee, and then at home against A&M. You get the bye week, and then it's at LSU, at Vanderbilt, back-to-back. That stretch where you come off those three really hard games where you got 2 home, 1 away, and then you're going to the bye week. I'm curious to see where this team is sitting coming out of that, going into / coming out of that bye week where you just played 3 of the best teams in the SEC. I guess, Tennessee's, I don't know if I'll call them that.
We'll see.
Definitely not that, actually. Pupil's out there begging for the 2014 playoff. You play some really good SEC teams, and it's okay, where's your mindset coming out of that? And so, I think you got to go. Russell's going to start at some point this year. The question is just how quickly is it going to happen?
Yeah.
There's no way you don't do that if you are Kalen Dbor.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000% over. I think you're hitting the nail on the proverbial head there. So,
very well said.
Well, Landon, it's been 50 minutes, man. It went by fast. Fantastic stuff from you. Please tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at Landon Tengwall on Twitter, and then same thing on YouTube, the Landon Tengwall Show over on YouTube. I got 2 Bama videos out. I did kind of a season preview, and then we did the quarterback film breakdown. We dive into the all 22 tape of both Austin Mack and Keelan Russell. So a lot of good stuff on there. And I'll continue to post a lot of stuff on Twitter. And I'm doing a lot of other SEC teams, all of college football. So you expect a lot of content out of me, but I'll definitely be covering a lot of Alabama this year.
Yeah, it's fantastic work, dude. I definitely hope that we can get you back before the season starts. So, block a spot out on the calendar for us. Friend of the show, man. We're happy to have you anytime, brother. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Appreciate you, Landon.
Enjoy your evening,
Thanks,
buddy.
brother.
Yes, sir.
You, man.
All right. Fantastic stuff. That was good stuff,
Man, he's great. Wow. That was awesome.
I was just like, I'm going to let him roll, man.
I'd say I was going to kick back like I was watching the show.
I know.
I was like about to start commenting, and I was like, "Oh wait, I'm on the camera."
I was just playing with the chat.
I was like all in it, man. He's
this guy's
my
on it,
language, man.
That's
And then he's a Steeler
fantastic.
fan. Come on.
I know you love that, dude.
Come on.
I know you love that. So, all right.
Beautiful.
Do me a favor if you're watching right now and you are not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. Helps keep the channel free. Join us. We're going to be covering everything spring. There's a ton of recruiting stuff coming up. And we've got it all right here. We do everything everybody else does, just put a cherry on top. If we can't do it, we're going to bring somebody on who can do it for you.
Bingo.
Such as Mr. Landon.
Such as
Tengwall.
Mr. Lang.
That was
He was great, man.
That was
he
so
was deep
good.
diving the whole line. He just went down every position. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, dude. I knew it was going to be good. I watched all of his stuff on X. I was like, this guy's legit. And so, we're not
Nice
as
guy, too,
legit.
so
We know a little bit. Like we scratched the surface.
Not
but
like
these
that.
Guys, this guy Clint, like, dude, yeah. They
I bet you put him and Clint in a room together, like, come back 9 hours later, and they're still talking about the offensive line.
Jeff, I need you to send a DM to both right now. Hey guys,
I don't get my DMs answered.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. It's not my
I
fault.
don't have the clout that Waaaay Offsides Cotton has.
It's okay, man. It's okay. People love you. Maybe
That's
if you
all right.
change your name to Waaaay Offsides Powder, people would respond more. What do you think?
No, because then my Colombian friends will start hitting me back up.
Oh, yeah, that's probably that's smart. Hey, man, let's check out the viewer of the week and the member of the week. You let me know when you're ready. Jeff. I've got them loaded up and ready to go. Drum roll, please.
All right, we're ready.
First, I'm ready. Boom. There it is. Lance. It's been a long time coming, Lance. Congratulations. You've been with us for a long time, buddy.
We appreciate you, brother.
We love you, man. You keep the chat lit. Sometimes your opinions are rough around the edges, but that's okay because you're authentic. Thank you.
Lance been rolling with us for a minute.
He has. He's been around for a while. All right, let's look at our certified ball knower of the week. This is our member of the week. All right, Stephen Burden. Steven's been a member for a while. Steven, man, thank you for supporting the channel. Absolutely love you. With that in mind, Jeff, we actually have a super chat, brother. A couple of them. So, Robert, thank you for $10 super chat, man. Appreciate you. Good looking out.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, thank you for supporting
you,
the
brother.
channel. Tobias, thank you for the $5 super chat.
Tobias.
We keep hearing about how much experience
in
Mack
Phoenix
has. We keep hearing about how much experience Mack has in the system. If that's the case, this race shouldn't be close. Go with Russell. Yeah, that's basically what we said. I do think that Mack's going to kind of get the nod just to start things off. But, yeah, it's going to be Russell's show before it's said and done. And I agree with the question, or the answer to the question, can Kalen Dbor afford to lose with Keelan Russell on the bench? Absolutely not. So thank you for supporting the channel, Tobias.
And Mack's going to have to be the clear-cut QB1, I think, to win the job. I mean, I think he's got to – it's got to be like no question.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you.
To win the job.
I agree with you. All right, chat. I want
tough.
to try something new. We only got a couple of minutes. I want to try something new. We basically talked about wait. There we go. All of this with Landon. We're going to get to some recruiting stuff tonight. John Meredith is visiting here soon. That's some breaking news that happened just a few minutes ago. But other than that, not a ton going on right now to talk about. So I want to jump right into hot takes. But I want to try something different, Jeff. I want the chat to give us their hot takes, and we'll bring them up on the screen and talk about them for a couple of minutes.
That's fair.
Are you down with that? Roll Tide, Ken.
How many are in the chat? Let's see. There's 65 of you in here in the YouTube chat. So somebody's got a hot take.
Maybe on X. Some of you guys have hot
Somebody
takes.
on X here has a hot take.
All right,
something.
let's see. Let's do it. All right.
It's got to be so hot.
Roll that beautiful bean footage. All right. We don't have any hot takes yet. I think StreamYard's lagging a little bit. I'm going to give you my
Roll
hot
Tide, so that's a good take.
That is a good take. I'm going to give you my hot take right now for the 2026 season. The Georgia Bulldogs do not make the college football playoff.
What?
Do not make the college football playoff.
What did you say?
I said what I said. And I think the Florida Gators keep them out of it. Oh, we got one from Ken. Let's bring this up. All right, AK Deer and EJ Crowell will overtake Hill and Raleigh.
I think that's happening.
I actually agree with that, dude. 100%.
I think that's happening quickly.
Yeah, I think very much like the Keelan Russell conversation, that is 100% what's going to happen. Yeah. So that's a good one. Very good one.
Jay Bake, I'm almost with you here. If you go back a year ago, my hot take was South Carolina was going to lose at least 5 games and
you did
crash out bad. But that this upcoming year was the year that you should expect something from them. So this you could be onto something, J-Bay. You could be onto something.
I don't know, man. Not with the offensive line health issues.
Well, that's true too. They lost both their tackles.
Yeah.
So that could
season-ending injuries.
Injuries really shape everybody's season. You know, here, and then you come out of fall camp, and if you've got 3 linemen, you know, out for the season, your season's shot right there. So.
Yeah. All right. Lance,
point.
Noah Rogers is the real deal. I've watched a little bit of him. I just don't think there's enough tape of him to really say, but I mean, he was a highly touted recruit. I expect him to be very, very good in Alabama's offense. I expect him to kind of be like as Isaiah Horton was. So, I mean, I could definitely see him being kind of a very, very big deal. Very big deal.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Saban Vickery. I think this is legit. This dude is another one that they're not going to be able to keep off the field.
Thank you. Oh, 100%, man. That's kind of a given. Ryan Grubb has already made that pretty clear. Him and EJ Crowell and their physicality and their maturity, they're almost field ready, is basically what he said. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one. This
is another Noah Rogers one here.
Ryan nor Lotzier will lead Bama in receptions. It'll be Noah Rogers. That's an interesting take. I still think it's going to be Lotzier Brooks.
I do too.
But I'm as long as somebody's breaking 1,000 this year. I have a theory about that. I'm really worried because Kalen Dbor and Ryan Grubb have been billed as these wide receiving gurus because of the success they had their final year at Washington. I'm really worried if that does not show up on this Alabama squad soon, it could potentially impact recruiting. We're 3 years removed from that team. So, they really need a guy to step up this year. Jeremy Bernard got close last season, but somebody does.
That 23 Washington team is really hindering his acceptance here because everybody expects that 23 offense. And it's like, you understand. That 23 offense had like 9 NFL draft pick, not first rounders, but 9 NFL draft picks on that offense, including a lottery QB and a first round receiver. It's like, you got to give him time to get those guys. We did not have a first round dynamic QB like that or a receiver like Romeo Dunze.
Yeah.
Ty's going to be hopefully late first round, but come on. He wasn't what Penix was in 23.
He's going to the Browns, bro. He's going to the Browns.
Jeez. And that's the end of Ty Simpson's career.
Yep. All right. Ken says Sedarian Morgan for wide receiver 3. Jimmy Stein agrees with you. It's very, very possible. He's talented enough. He's got the size. We'll see. Alabama's got plenty of options in that wide receiving room, though. So it's not a given.
It's going to be a stacked wide receiver room. And you think about the quarterback room. We were talking with Landon about the quarterbacks. there's going to be so much talent in that room. They're just all going to be so green. There's just going to be like not a lot of reps in there, but look at the talent that's going to be accumulating in that quarterback room.
It feels like that's the entire team this year, right? Like it's just youth, but really talented youth. So everybody's kind of cautious to be optimistic.
If we can just survive this year and get to next year, like he said, next year where we've got the core
maturity
of this team coming back with a year of maturity, of growth, of physical maturity. I mean, next year is really the year that we should be thinking chips. But this year, I mean, we obviously should expect to win football games, but we shouldn't crash out if we lose 3 or 4 games this year. With this team, it's going to be a growing process. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I was interrupting you. The expectation is going to be high no matter what. But realistically, if we're being honest with ourselves, a legitimate title run is 2027. Not to say that they can't get it done in 2026. There's still a lot we don't know. Yeah. But 2027 is going to be the year where we all go, all right, this is it.
Like you've got everything. There's no buts in 2020 next year. It's not like, you still got this. We still got it's like this is your complete team now, top to bottom, staff, roster, first person number 1 to 105 or whatever the number you got now.
Absolutely.
Staff, I mean, all that. It's totally all him. And even this year, it's going to be the majority of that. I don't know how many Saban holdovers are still around. Roach and Gillespie, and I don't know. There can't be too many players.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to take a crack at this just because I've never really followed the NBA draft closely. I think LeBaron Philon goes probably around 19, 20, 21, somewhere in there. I'll be honest. I have no idea about Amari Allen. Jeff, do you want to take a shot at it?
To say right now, a good tournament can really boost your draft stock. I think Allen will go before just because of his size. Honestly, he could use another year of college ball, to be honest with you, as good as he's been. But Philon, I think, his size will be my only detriment. But Steph Curry not that big, but Philon's not as thick as Steph Curry is. He's still kind of skinny to go banging around the NBA in the post like that. Like he drives the post and gets shots at the rim. And it's going to be tough to do in the NBA. Those are grown men in there, and they'll bust you up. So that's a tough one. If Philon was 6'4", he'd be a top 3 pick, in my opinion, and he'd be Brandon Miller because he's got way more handle and quickness than Brandon Miller had. Brandon Miller could just shoot the lights out. Yeah,
Nate Oates and Pat Murphy do go take care of 5-star Jackson Robertson today, though. Get him committed, or Richardson, excuse me. Get him committed to the Tide. I think he's 6'6".
That's a big sign. And I guess his dad or somebody called out somebody that had a bad that misreported something terrible, and the guy was like, "This guy is full of it."
Yeah, Jason
he laid out the truth.
Yeah, Alabama fans immediately fell in love with the guy, and then Jackson, or maybe it was Jason, shows a picture of him like 2 seasons ago sitting on the bench cutting it up with the coaching staff, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't have a relationship with these guys."
Yeah.
You gotta love it, man.
Somebody called that dude straight out, body bagged him. That was great.
Story. All right, last one. Lance says he still has concerns over the linebackers. Yes. I get it. I'm hearing really good things about QB Reese, Luke Metz potentially. So we'll see. We're gonna look closely at that group in the spring. Guarantee there'll be some uploads.
Again, like we said, a lot of talent, not a lot of reps. Same as in the linebacker room. A lot of good players in there, just not a lot of reps. So it's like you gotta cut your teeth. But the schedule sets up better early in the season this year than it did last year.
Absolutely does. So well. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to spend a little over an hour, so we'll go ahead and call it a night. Please tell your coworkers and your families and your exes about Waaaay Offsides. Have them subscribe to the channel. To all of you guys that are
we're a big hit with the exes.
Yeah, we sure are. To all of you guys and gals out there that are commenting, sharing, liking videos.
We love y'all.
Thank you. Engagement right now on YouTube is tough. It's been tough on X.
Brutal.
The past couple of days. Everybody's just kind of waiting for football. And we want them to know like, we're going to be riding pretty heavy, pretty deep this college
Time to
football
put out
season.
some good
So,
videos too. And then
right.
YouTube is like, I'm going to stick this in my pocket here.
Yeah, it's always the ones that I don't think are going to do well that do well, and the
Yeah.
ones I'm like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. It gets like 200 views, unless
The one
it's
before
in
it
the
like
season.
4.4K. And I'm like, how do you go from
Dude,
4,000 to 200?
yeah, in the middle of the season, it's getting like 10,000 views. This is YouTube's PMSing. So, but
YouTube
anyway.
don't want nobody to make no money.
No, they don't. They're like, hey,
Like,
you
whoa,
grew
whoa,
too
whoa,
fast.
easy, buddy. You
You
get too
grew
many
too
views
fast.
there.
Slow down, sir.
We're gonna change this algorithm all kinds up.
That's what they do, man. So thank you guys for joining us. I hope you enjoyed Landon. We will definitely have him back on again.
Yes,
Thank you.
fantastic guest.
Landon.
Thank you, Landon.
Fantastic
Shout out to
stuff.
Landon.
We will go ahead and start working on trying to get him and Clint on at the same time. He was on with Christian Miller last week, so he's making the rounds. We'll add him to
We're gonna
the,
get Christian in here too somehow.
Yeah, we'll add him to the family. It'll be us, EG, Clint, and Christian and Landon. So sounds like
that'd be a good.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's like the Avengers.
Sounds like a good paintball team.
I don't know, man. I'm actually pretty good at paintball. Deadly accurate. Pew, pew. Anyway, thanks for joining.
He's
Thanks
got
for
the little
hanging-
scope. He turns on the top.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
man.
he's checking
Yeah,
the
dude.
wind,
Yeah, like
crosswind and all that.
Kentucky windage. Yeah, I got Jeff here. Jeff's my spotter. I've got 2 military age males.
He's got like all the twigs and stuff on his helmet.
Yeah,
and his
man.
face
Yeah.
is painted.
Full ghillie suit out there, man. Just
Think
low
Mark
chrome.
Wahlberg in American Sniper.
Yeah, wearing a diaper, just laying there pissing all over myself.
I wasn't going there, but
I did.
touche.
It had to be
Touche.
done. All right, man.
Cotton
I hope you guys.
316.
What? No, I hope you guys enjoyed your evening. I hope that you have a fantastic, beautiful, safe weekend. Spring is in the air finally. It's starting to
is.
warm up a little bit. Thank goodness. Mow your grass, do your spring cleaning, take care of your house. And we
Pollen
will
count
see
down
you-
here is insane.
Yeah, no, it's rough here too. We will see you all next week. As always, you know the drill. Say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands. Horns down. Beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide, y'all.